How are y'all? It's Ron Harris here, MD Online Editor. Before I get started, I want to let you know tomorrow, Tuesday, the 18th, 2 p.m. Eastern, we're going to be going live for MD Power Hour, going over the Arnold Brazil, which I didn't really see any of. I was on a plane coming back from Australia during the whole thing. But Giles Tiger Thomas covered the show along with Miguel Chain and, of course, women's physique Olympia champ Natalia Coelho and our own Jan Geraci. So I'm actually really looking forward to hearing the scoop from them because I didn't see any of it. They watched the stream and got pictures from Miguel. Miguel was on site there in Brazil. He is, of course, Brazil's premier journalist, whatever you want to call him, man, reporter. He covers the bodybuilding fitness scene in Brazil like nobody else down there. So yeah, I was gone for 2 weeks, longest vacation of my life, most expensive vacation of my life, most time I've ever spent on an airplane in my life. It takes a long time to get there. I went from Boston to Montreal to Vancouver to Brisbane, and that took about 24 hours. It was the longest flight, of course, was the final leg of the journey. Vancouver to Brisbane was a 14 hours on a plane. Wow. I had snacks. I had protein bars. I had things to eat, nuts. They fed us 2 meals and a tiny little meal, 2 full meals. I call them full meals, but they were, airplane meals aren't that great. But, I haven't been served a meal on a plane in a very long time for free. You can buy them. They used to feed people on planes. But anyway, yeah, 2 weeks in Australia. I rented a car. Had to adjust very quickly to driving on the left side of the road and the steering wheel being on the right side of the car instead of the left side. I did have a couple of times where I banged one of the tires on the left on the curb, taking turns and so forth. My bad. My wife was flipping out the whole time. But we had a great time. We were there basically to see my son. He's at University of Queensland, Brisbane campus, finishing up his degree in what is it? Not science, conservation. He's going to save the planet. So we did Brisbane for a few days. Then we took a vacation. Within a vacation, we flew up to, they say Cairns, but it's Cairns, primarily because that's where you go to see the Great Barrier Reef. You take a boat from there. We did that. We went to the reef one day, diving trip. I didn't do scuba. My wife and I, Janet, did snorkeling. Christian, our son, did. We had 2 rounds. They took us to 2 spots on the reef. He did scuba and snorkeling. We just stuck to snorkeling. I know my limits. I have snorkeled before. I have done scuba before. Don't particularly enjoy it. Went to 2 different zoos, I guess you could call it. The first one was the Australia Zoo, which is owned and operated by the Irwin family, founded by the late Steve Irwin, the crocodile hunter. Really cool place, big, couple hundred acres. Of course, tons of things, tons of traditional animals you expect to see there. A lot of crocodiles. They had a crocodile feeding show. A lot of kangaroos. They had big open areas where you could walk up and pet them and feed them and so forth. Went to another zoo. We did Port Arthur in Cairns on another trip and went to a wildlife preserve there. Saw a bunch of animals. Also did a tour of the Daintree Rainforest, which is the oldest rainforest in the world, 300 million years old, older than even the Amazon or any other rainforests on the planet. And we had a great guide, a guy named Dan, who's, he was driving our tour bus and he was telling us all the info and stories and everything. Really cool time. And then we went back, so we did a few days in Cairns. They say Cairns, but they don't pronounce their R's. I could do a pretty decent Australian accent, but I'm not going to try. I don't want to offend anybody with my crappy Australian accent. And then we returned to Brisbane for the last few days, and then saw our son off. Left our son back there to finish up school. So I'm here to answer questions, man. It's been a while. It's been over 2 weeks. So let's see what you guys have to say. Maybe some of you guys are in Australia. I don't know. But what a great country. It's so clean. People are polite. My daughter's been married to a gentleman from Australia. He's from Sydney. They're married almost 7 years now. Wow. They married in 2016. So he's building his empire, real estate. He works in auto financing. And his goal is to have dual residence. He wants to have a home in Sydney, as well as a home or a condo or whatever in Miami where they are now, and spend go back and forth half the year in America or USA, half the year in Australia. And we're actually thinking about moving to Australia. Janet floated the idea past me, and I'm not averse to it. I mean, I love Boston. I love the USA, but Australia seems like a really cool place. I could live there. Yeah, they have everything. Yeah, yeah. I was concerned. I don't know why, because I'm one of those ugly Americans. I haven't been to that many places outside. I've been to all over the Caribbean, Mexico, a couple places in South America, Canada, 3 days in England, UK. But I haven't seen most of the world, so I didn't know what to expect. But obviously it's very modern. I shouldn't even say that. That sounds like degrading. Like, why wouldn't they be modern? But they have everything you need there. I would just have to get accustomed to the driving on the left, which I guess I could do. Balkan Knife, hey Ron, big support to you and team from Croatia. Yeah, Croatia. So I guess I want to start out. I had a good question at the gym today that I thought would be helpful to some of you guys. So there's a guy there who works as a correctional officer, and his schedule just got changed. So he has to get up much earlier now. He has to wake up at 3:30 in the morning to be there. So he's going to have to train very early in the morning now, apparently. So he doesn't want to train an empty stomach. He said, should I do that? I said, no. He doesn't have much of an appetite in the morning. He doesn't want to wake up early enough to make a full breakfast and eat it. So what's the best option if you're going to be training early in the morning and either you don't want to eat a full breakfast of like eggs and oats and pancakes or whatever it is you have, or you don't have the appetite. A lot of people don't have a real big appetite in the morning. So what I suggested was a shake, which would be comprised of whey protein, and I would throw in instant oatmeal. And if the flavor is right, I wouldn't try like chocolate and blueberry. But if you're using like a vanilla flavored whey protein, you can throw in some blueberries in there, and I think that's the perfect pre-workout meal. It's going to digest quick. You should get that finished and be ready to train within, I'd say, 45 minutes. It's very quick absorbing, and then he says he has no problem getting to a solid meal shortly after the workout, which is what I would suggest. I wouldn't want to start the day off with just two shakes. I would want to do that because a lot of people have this idea that it's a good thing to train on an empty stomach. Cardio on an empty stomach is fine. Even that I don't really like. But weight training on an empty stomach, no, not a fan. Not a fan at all. I've only done it. Geez, I think I tried it a few times. Did not, no energy. Even though I had coffee or pre-workout or whatever, could not get a pump to save my life. You do eat. There should be glycogen stores from eating the day before, the night before, but still, I like to have food in my system. Personally, I feel I get much better workouts that way. Yeah, personally. So I wouldn't do it. It was proposed. No, it's a fact, I guess. If you train on an empty stomach, your body will release a little bit of extra growth hormone. That's a positive. I think that's negated by all the bad effects, the disadvantage of training on an empty stomach. Mainly, you're on an empty tank. I just don't. I don't like it personally. Let's see. So what else? No questions so far. So I'm going to keep talking about Australia. Uh, Trained only in a couple places. I only trained twice while I was there in 2 weeks. I wasn't there to train. We spent a lot of time and a lot of money to be there. So I said, I can go to the gym at home. I go to the gym every day. I'm not going to waste my precious time in Australia going to the gym. But, my son likes to train, and I wanted to train with him at least a couple times while I was there. So on Good Friday, we went to a place in Brisbane called the Bunker Gym, which was, seemed to me like it was mainly CrossFit, but they did have an area with benches and a few machines and dumbbells, which of course that's where I was hanging out doing that. And one thing I noticed about Australia in general, far less obesity. I did not, I saw some overweight people for sure, but nowhere near the degree. I mean, you can't go into like a Walmart or go to the beach or anywhere where there's a large amount of people in the USA without seeing a lot of obese people, not just like a little bit overweight, but big, really big. Didn't see anyone who was huge, like needed to go around on a scooter in Australia. And when we went to 2 days in a row, we took a drive. It's about an hour and 15, hour and 20, hour and a half drive up from where we were in Brisbane to the Gold Coast, where the best beaches are, Surfers Paradise. We went to Broad Beach one day and Burleigh Beach second day. I've heard that that's like the bodybuilding mecca of Australia, the Gold Coast. And it made sense. I saw a lot of people in really good shape, a few people that had bodybuilder physiques. One I saw from a distance, he looked like almost pro size. Maybe he was a pro, I don't know. He was way down by the shore, by the water, and I was pretty far back. But for sure, a lot more people working out in that area. A lot of people in shape, men and women. I think fitness. I don't know if it's. I would have to see some stats, but I think more people work out and eat right in Australia. Definitely, I saw a lot more people that look like they at least work out than I see here in the U.S. And yeah. but took some getting used to. Food was pretty much the same. Actually, the cool thing was, I was using my credit card there, and everything's, we're using the credit card and we're paying in Australian dollars. So I'm just giving a fake example here. It would be, say something was 100 Australian, a meal was 100 Australian dollars for 3 people or something. And then I get every time I use the credit card, I would immediately get a text message from Visa alerting me to the charge, even though, I had cleared it with them before the trip to make sure the card would still work and they weren't going to shut it down thinking someone stole my card in Australia and was charging a bunch of stuff. But the conversion rate was like, I think it was about 70. So like 70, it would be like $70 US if you spent 100. It was something like, it was around 70%, 65, 70. So it'd be cool to spend $100 and then see the text message saying it was only $65. The one thing, oh, hey, Jen, I just saw that. Great to see you. Jen, I have to thank Jen Geraci. Jen is the one who held down the fort for 2 weeks straight without me. I did leave behind a bunch of interviews so people wouldn't know I was gone. I didn't post anything about being gone because I don't want someone coming and robbing my house while I was gone. You don't do that. I just put up on my Facebook I'm starting to put up all the pictures from the trip. But yeah, word to the wise guys, unless you want your place robbed, do not post pictures when you're like out of the country because someone's going to go, oh, well, their house is empty. I'll go rob them. Yeah. Yeah. Jen saw preview, but Charles really missed you. I did too. Yeah. I missed you guys. I mean, I was, I was feeling a little burnt out with work and everything. And now I'm ready to go. I'm like, can't wait to work. I just want to get back in my routine. I don't like feeling unproductive. And as much as I enjoyed everything I was doing over there and being with my son and seeing all these cool things, doing all the cool things, I didn't feel productive. And spending money when you're not, I was still getting paid. But it's just, I have this thing where I've been working since I was 14 years old. I'm 53. So not working, just after a while, it doesn't feel right. Let's see. Play your friend. We got your back. Thank you, Jen. Yeah. Appreciate Jen, Giles, Miguel Chain, and Natalia Coelho for handling that whole Australia. Arnold Brazil. Not a huge show, obviously, as you saw, but congrats to Behruz Sobhani from Iran. He's very good. He's better than he was last year. Last year, he should have been in the Olympia. He qualified. He won that Romania Muscle Fest, I think it was, right? That's where he qualified, but he couldn't get a visa to the U.S. So I just had a little chat with Milos on text, Milos Sarshev, his coach, and he showed me Behruz is already working on his visa for the U.S. to get to Olympia. So good. He needs to be in the Olympia. I'm not saying he's going to be like top 3 or top 5 right now. I don't know how he's going to do, but he's good enough. He deserves to be in the Olympia. Obviously, he's qualified now for it the second time. So Iran, obviously, our Mr. Olympia champion is from Iran. Great, great champions coming out of that country. And unfortunately for them, the political climate between the U.S. and Iran, it's just not easy for them to get over here. It's not. He won Romania, couldn't get the 2020 Olympia, visa issues. It's tough. There are certain countries where the U.S. we have no diplomatic relations with Iran. We haven't had relations with them since 1979. So the Shah of Iran was their leader, their king or emperor, I don't know, their leader. And he got deposed. They kicked him out. And religious fundamentalist Islamic government took over with a guy named Ayatollah Khomeini. And they immediately took a bunch of people hostage. If you saw the movie Argo, that was about how we freed the hostages. And we haven't had any relations since then. And it's been very, very tough for people from Iran to get into the USA since then. So that's 1979. What are we now? 23. So it's been it's 44 years of bad relations. Behruz versus Brett, part 2, top 6. Yeah, I think Brett just missed out on. Did he qualify for the Olympia? Did he do another show and win it? He did, didn't he? I don't want to seem like I don't know anything about Brett, but didn't he? Didn't Brett win a show right after that and qualify for next year's Olympia? Do you know, Jen? Who knows? Can't see it. Let's see. He was a Shah, like a king, yeah. King, interestingly, the word for king in Farsi is Shari, King Kamali. So his name is Shari. Sean Turner, hey Ron, what kind of dog was that in the thumbnail of the video? That was a kangaroo, silly. That was a kangaroo. Oh, he won the Portugal Pro. Thank you, Jen. Thank you. Yeah, I have a ton of pictures I'm going to put up on my Facebook. I'm going to finish putting up the pictures. They had these areas where the kangaroos are running free, hopping free, various sizes. A couple of them were big, like the biggest one I saw there at the second place we went had more kangaroos. The place we went to in Port Arthur, a different wildlife sanctuary or preserve, zoo, whatever you want to call it. They had one that was about 5 feet tall, and he was jacked, like big muscular shoulders, arms. You've seen those kangaroos. This is one. I'm sure they get bigger than that. Let's see, just Portugal Pro. Oh, Portugal Big Man Weekend. Yeah, Big Man Weekend, Jen. We got to get it right because Giles got in trouble with the promoter for calling it Portugal Pro without including Big Man Weekend, because Big Man, it's like a gym chain in Portugal, I think, or is it Spain? And they sponsor the event. So it's not just the Portugal Pro, it's the Big Man Weekend. Sounds kind of silly in English. Kind of like how, a lot of those Japanese game show titles, TV show titles don't really translate that well in English. They'll be like super happy, fun, explosion time or something. I don't know. Man. Yeah, but promoter gets very mad. It's Emilio. Is it Emilio's a promoter? Emilio's a promoter of that show, Jen? Same guy that does the Alicante shows? Yeah, he's a cool dude. I talked to him at the Olympia. Him and his wife. I got to practice my Spanish, which used to be much better because I haven't used it very much. It's getting worse and worse. But I find if I have a few drinks, my Spanish gets better. I think it unlocks the language part of my brain, and I'm able to recall more Spanish. Or maybe I'm just drunk and I think I'm speaking it better. I don't know. Oh, man. Yeah, I think it's Emilio. What's Emilio's last name? Oh, my memory. What's going on with my memory? Yeah. Yeah, so kangaroo, they have all kinds of... The one thing I have to say is so much more wildlife just around, not in zoos, just like around at the beach, downtown. We saw just like all kinds of lizards running around, like skinks, water dragons, birds that you would think would be in a zoo, like that white ibis I put a picture of. You'd think that'd be something you'd see in a zoo, but they're all over the place. In fact, they're like a nuisance. I guess they're like seagulls. They'll steal your food at the beach. They'll go into your trash cans. I think they said they figured out how to open up trash cans. These white ibises, they can problem solve like a crow. So I don't know. I don't know why people would be upset that they're stealing their trash. You're throwing Emilio Martinez. Thank you, Emilio Martinez. Jen found out promotes definitely one of Europe's premier promoters. Puts on a few shows. A couple in Alicante, one in Portugal. Let's go. Emilio's promoting the Big Man Weekend, and one Carlos Beltran and Emilio Martinez. Thank you. Uncertainty Principle. Hey, Ron, what's up? Can you speculate on why Ramy's triceps and biceps atrophy? I can't because I have no idea. If I say if I think it's nerve damage, I'm not a neurologist. I don't know. That's my guess, but I'm guessing just like you would be guessing. I don't know. I mean, and they're never. I don't think even if they knew, I don't think they would say. But something was up with Ramy's tricep. His calf, one of his calves was gone. His bicep, one arm. If you look at pictures of Ramy's frontal bicep for the past few years, like we even had his frontal bicep as a cover on MD. I've noticed one arm was bigger than the other. This has been going on for a couple of years. There's definitely a little asymmetry between Ramy's arms. Nobody's perfectly symmetrical, I don't think. Everything exactly even on the right to the left. But it was very noticeable. And, I don't think Ramy's done. I don't think he's done. I could say he needs a break, but what do I know? Only Ramy knows. Only Ramy knows his body. And even he might be, erring on the side of, he's got to be optimistic because he doesn't want to retire yet. He still feels he's got some good years left. He's two-time Olympia champion. Fourth place at the Arnold for an Olympia, for a guy that won the Olympia twice in recent times is not great, but he looked a lot better than he did at the Olympia. However, the competition was very, very tough at this Arnold Classic. So no knock on Ramy. He'll be back. Will he ever win the Olympia again? Who knows? People say, do you think so-and-so will win the Olympia? I always say, who knows? We don't know. I always go back. I always fall back to the old examples of people I assumed. When I was following the sport and I've been working in the sport since 91, and there were certain people I assumed would win an Olympia before it was all said and done. I always thought Flex Wheeler would win at least one Olympia, if not multiple Olympias. He looked amazing. I thought Sean Ray would win an Olympia at least once. He came close. These are all guys that got second a few times. And then Kevin Leverone won it he didn't win it. He got runner-up 4 times. Got edged out by, it was Dorian 3 times and Ronnie once. So, a lot of times there'll be guys who are knocking on the door, but there's just somebody that keeps, Ronnie Coleman kept Jay Cutler from, if it hadn't been for Ronnie Coleman, Jay Cutler would have had, what, 4 more Olympia titles? If it hadn't been for Dorian Yates, Sean would have been Olympia at least once. He got second. Kevin would have won it a couple times. Hadn't been for Ronnie, Flex was runner-up to Ronnie 2 years in a row. Ronnie's first 2 wins, 98, 99. Right there, Flex would have had 2 Olympia titles, but you never know. Somebody was just that great. Uncertainty principle. Can training for years and years continuously atrophy your muscles? He could not have injured both his triceps. I don't think it's an injury. I don't think Ramy's situation was an injury, and I'm just speculating. I don't think it was an injury. I think it's some kind of nerve damage. I really do. And, a pinched nerve or something, or I don't know. But no, training for years and years won't atrophy your muscles, but at a certain point, you're not going to be able to hold on to all your size. An 80-year-old man is not going to have as much muscle. Say you're 220 pounds, very lean, very muscular at 30 years old. 30 years old, you're 220. Let's say you can hold on to that till you're 40, 45. Then either injuries start coming, or for some reason you just can't hold on to it forever. You don't see that many guys, even if they still trained and ate and did the drugs. Well, if you did drugs that long, I don't know if you'd make it to like 70 or 80, but you're not going to see an 80-year-old guy who's like the same size, muscularity, muscle fullness, density as he had when he was younger. It's just the human body ages. We're not machines. We do get older. Even with the hormones, even with drugs, even with training, you can't hold on to all your muscle forever. You just can't. Just like you can't stay young forever. You're not going to look young forever. You're not going to be 70 years old and look the same way you did when you're 20. It's impossible. It's just, you're not. Let's see. Sean Turner. Sean would have 1, maybe 2 for sure, Olympia titles he's talking about. Kevin should have had 1. Labrada should have had 1 as well. Yeah, I think Labrada beat Haney dead to rights, fair and square, 1990. The year the Olympia was drug tested. I think it was in Chicago that year. Lee didn't look very different. He was actually as good as ever, Lee Labrada. Lee Haney, on the other hand, was a little smaller and a little smoother. He was not 100%. I'd say he was like 80%. I think Labrada beat him in the judging. And then in the posing round, somehow, even though Labrada was I feel he was a much better poser. Lee Haney was a good poser, but Labrada was on another level. So some effery was going on back then. Mark Iron, he was leading going into the finals, yeah. The Olympia back in the old days, I say this all the time. People complain about the judging today. I'm like, are you kidding me? The judging is so much better. I honestly feel back in the old days, talking about the 80s, 90s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 60s, for decades, I believe the winners were influenced by the late Joe Weider. I believe he told the judges who he wanted to win. I don't know this. This is just what I believe. I'm not saying I know this. I don't know this for a fact. But, Kevin Levrone has said a few times, and people have come after him for this, that Joe Weider personally told him, I can't let you beat Dorian Yates because Dorian gives me the European market for all my products, my supplements, my whatever. It was a business decision, which is outrageous. I can't let you win. That's like walking into the Super Bowl locker room after you had the refs call terrible calls against one team and they should have won, but the other team had the refs totally on their side and saying, sorry guys, I couldn't let you win the Super Bowl because I had $1 billion bet on the other team. That's some bullshit. Sorry. I don't want to speak ill of the dead, and I don't know this for sure, but we had things like when Arnold was winning, there was one year, 1972 in Munich or Essen, I think it was Munich, where Sergio was way better than Arnold at that show. He had him beat. And in the end, there was a couple things they said. Arnold supposedly told Sergio, they were posing, and then Arnold tricked him by whispering in his ear, oh, come on, let's go. I'm tired. I've had enough of this crap. So Sergio left. Sergio started walking off the stage. And Arnold went like, oh, this guy's giving up. And he kept posing. And supposedly that's how he influenced the judges to give him the win. I heard from that same show, Sergio was told from one of the judges or somebody, I don't know who, that the reason you didn't win was your skin was too dark and the background behind you was so dark, we couldn't really see your physique that well. Dude, that would not fly in 2023, would it? No, it would not. No, it would not. So some effery happened in the Olympia for years and years. So much more fair these days, so much more impartial. They're not going by who's already the champion, like you got to knock out the champion, what supplement company you're with, magazine. There aren't any magazine endorsements anymore, contracts, but we used to hear things like that this is why this guy won or placed higher than he should have, because supplement company that sponsors him was sponsoring the show, or he's a good friend of a few of the judges or some crap like that. Mark says Franco winning with the torn quad was laughable. So yeah, so he's talking about 1981, for the late Franco Columbo's second Olympia win. That might have been the worst Olympia decision of all time. Danny Padilla looked amazing. Tom Platz looked amazing. Zane, I think Chris Dickerson, they all should have beat him. All should have beat him. I think Franco would have been like 5th or 6th if it were judged correctly. His legs were small, smooth. He had torn one quad doing the world's strongest man on TV on ABC Wide World of Sports, running with a refrigerator on his back. His leg gave out under him, his quad tore, and his quad never looked the same again. Yeah, Jake came back and won the title. Ramy could as well. Oh yeah, Sean, I would never write Ramy off. Never, never, never. I don't write people off. Unless they like lose a limb, like it gets amputated or something. I've seen people come back from all kinds of adversity, life situations, death of family members, injuries, illnesses, all kinds of things. So, if Ramy doesn't do well at this year's Olympia, though, that could be the sign that it's time to go, or at least he's probably never going to win the Olympia again. Jay came back. He had only lost it once. He came back and got his title. But if you lose the Olympia if you come back a couple times after you've lost it and your placing's going down, yeah, that could be a really, really strong signal that it's time to go. But, we're getting way ahead of ourselves. That's November. Brian Nasser, what's up, Brian? For the first time in forever, it does seem like the Mr. O isn't a foregone conclusion. Yeah. Dude, in the old days, Hadi Choopan would never have won an Olympia, no matter how good he looked. They would never have let a short guy didn't speak English, hard of hearing impaired, not marketable in the least. He doesn't look like a movie star. They wouldn't have even had Derek that high, I don't think, in the old days. They would have had Derek, but if it came down to those two in the old days, they would have went with Derek, the all-American apple pie, good-looking, God-fearing, whatever. Religion doesn't usually play a part, I don't think. So it doesn't matter that one's a Christian, one's a Muslim. Mark, Branch did come back after a major quad injury. Yeah, Branch did that in like 6 months. That was the amazing thing. He tore his quad, I think it was in August, and then he comes back in March. What's that for? 7 months later, and he wins the Arnold Classic? That's insane. Luckily, it was his best body part, and it bounced back very quickly. I don't know if that would have been the case with everybody. What about Samir Bannout in the 80s? What about Samir? I guess you're saying Samir should not have won the Olympia in 83? I don't know. Samir had a great physique, very classical, great shape, structure, condition. He set a new standard with condition. He was the first person that really showed that Christmas tree, the lower back, the lumbar spine, the spinal erectors, just fully striated, separated, clear as day. So yeah, Samir was penalized according to him in 84. He was short. Oh, Samir was like 5'6", 5'7". That's not that short. Hadi's like 5'5" on a good day. Him and Derek, they're like 5'5". They can't be any taller than that. But Franco won it twice back in the old days. Franco was like, I think 5'4". Yeah, we've had some shorter guys win the Olympia. I don't think no one over 6 foot has ever won the Olympia. Think about that. So you can be a lot shorter, but I don't think if you're too much taller, it's going to do that well. We had a lot, we had a lot of guys who were close to 6 foot, just under, and that seems to be like the sweet spot. Lee Haney was 5'11", Dorian Yates was 5'11", Ronnie Coleman 5'11". They're all shorter now. They're all getting a little shorter as people do. Those of you who are in your youth right now, you're not going to stay this height forever. I hate to break it to you. Your spine, the discs between your spinal segments, what are they called? Vertebrae. Those lose moisture or something and they compress. So you're not going to be, if you're 6 foot now and you're 20 years old, when you're 50 years old, you're probably not going to be 6 foot. You'll probably be like 5'11". Then when you're 60, maybe you'll be 5'10". I mean, I knew a guy, a friend, a father of one of my wife's best friends, he had been 6 foot or 6'1" as a younger man, and by the time I met him when he was in his 70s, he was like 5'9" or 5'10". So yeah, but you know what? 19 Olympia, very controversial, says Jen. Yeah, Arnold, no. Oh yeah, you're right. I'm sorry. Arnold was over 6 foot, Mark. Good call. So he was the only one, because let's see, Larry Scott, 5'7". Sergio was like, I've seen different heights. I've seen Sergio listed as everything from 5'9" to 5'11", so I don't know what he really was. Then it was Arnold. Arnold was over 6 foot. His height seems to be in debate. Every time I say he was 6'2", someone say, Arnold was like 5'11". No, he's definitely over 6 foot. We know that. So then after Arnold was Franco, 5'4". That was 1976. And Frank Zane for 3 years, he was 5'9". And then Arnold won in 80 again, his seventh and final Olympia. 81 was Franco. 82, Chris Dickerson. I think Dickerson was like about 5'5". 83, Samir, I'll say he was 5'7". And then it was Lee Haney, 84. Lee, 5'11". Dorian, 5'11", 5'11". Jay Cutler. So after Ronnie was Jay, 5'9". Dexter, like about 5'6". Who else we had? We've had a few Mr. Olympias, right? Sean Roden was about 5'10". The late Sean Roden, God rest his soul. Phil Heath, 5'9". Ramy, I think Ramy's about 5'10". Yeah, let's see. Sergio Jr. says dad was 5'9". Yeah, he had he was way ahead of his time, physique-wise, Sergio Oliva. Justin Bass, can you build a good chest with just dips and flies, no pressing movements? Just curious. Well, a dip is a pressing movement. Think about it. A dip, it's really like a decline press. Yeah, I mean, in the old days, if you guys know, there was a guy named the Iron Guru, a very, very cranky old guy named Vince Ferranda, who had a famous gym out in Studio City, California, trained a lot of movie stars like Charles Bronson, Clint Eastwood, a few bodybuilders, but mainly movie stars. Charlton Heston? Kirk Douglas. I know he trained Kirk Douglas. Anyway, he didn't allow people to do the bench press in his gym. He hated it. He would let them do benches to the neck, which seems to me like more dangerous. And he was a big proponent of wide grip dips with like a V-shaped bar. So the bars weren't parallel; they were like this, and that was a great. If you've ever done them that way, you can get a lot of pec activation. If you lean forward, especially on a dip, it's almost all pecs. If you're slanted forward, if you're sitting upright, it's a lot more triceps. It's all front delts in both, but you're going to get a lot of pec activation. So yeah, you could. I remember seeing a guy years ago who had this massive chest, and he claimed it was all from push-ups. He would have people pile plates on his back and do push-ups. Of course, that's really a bench press movement. So yeah, you could do that. Let's see. Mark, your son seems to work out. Yeah, he does. He works out. He doesn't have my genetics exactly. He's got some things from me, the quads, the chest. He's got a good structure. He's got a smaller waist than I ever had, but he's a lot lighter boned. He's 5'7". He's about 150 pounds. And I was, at that age, he's 23, almost 24. I was already well over 200 pounds. I was natural. I was chubby. I would diet down. I would only be like 175, 180 pounds for natural shows. But yeah, he trains. He's also got ulcerative colitis, so his food doesn't really get absorbed properly. It's hard for him to put on weight. It's really hard. He trained Carl Weathers too, Brian asked. A good one, yeah. Vince Arna did. He was a great trainer. He was just a bastard, apparently. Like, he had a horrible disposition. Like, he was just mean, cranky, just mean to people. Like, people used to leave his gym in tears, literally. He used to kick people out, like, all the time. Oh, thanks, Jen. Jen posted a link for an article from MD today. Thank you, Jen. Sean Turner, Ron, do you think guys were taking at least a gram to achieve their size? Golden era guys, the physiques looked unreal. I don't think they were. A couple reasons. So the stuff back then was pure, all farmer grade. If it said it was, it said it was 200 milligrams per milliliter of Deca or Test in a bottle, it was 200. They had great drugs. They didn't rely on the drugs. In the golden era, they didn't even use drugs most of the year. Honestly, I believe they have no reason to lie about it. They would train naturally for big chunks of the year, and then every time a contest was coming up, that's when they would get on drugs, basically to hold on to their muscle mass while they dieted down. And their dieting was like keto dieting. They basically ate like, tuna and water, tuna and lettuce or something, for 8 weeks. It was a very different era. But I don't think they were taking a gram. No, I'm sure some guys took more than others, but maybe a gram total, as opposed to, if I have to guess, today's guys average probably 3 to 5 grams for a contest cycle at that level, the Olympia level. Yeah. Jen, I can see his chest getting bigger. Christian looks good. Thank you. Yeah, he's trying, man. He works. He doesn't cook. I'm going to teach when he comes back. He comes back here in July. I'm going to teach him how to grill and stuff. He doesn't cook for himself. He can fry an egg and stuff like that, but he needs to start cooking more and eating more. It's just not a... You're welcome, Justin. Mark, when you retire from reporting for MD, or when will I retire? I don't know. I'm only 53 now. I could see myself doing this for a few more years, but yeah, at some point, I have to pass the torch on to somebody else. At some point, I don't know when. I've been in the business a very long time. I've been working full time in bodybuilding media since 1991, January. So it's already been over 32 years. So I don't know when. I don't know. All right, let's see. Mark, he's the best. Justin Bass, I'm a natural 5'8", 205, got a decent amount of muscle, but I want to lose fat because summer season's coming. Any way to do it without losing a lot of muscle? Yeah. What I would do is try to do it very gradually. Don't cut your calories too fast or too drastically. Don't do a ton of cardio. Just try to find that sweet spot where you're just getting enough carbs to get good workouts, but you're still lowering them enough that you can lose fat. It's all calories in versus calories out. As long as you're taking in fewer calories than you're expending, you will lose fat, but you don't want it to be too drastic of a difference in versus out, or else then you do start. And you want to do it slowly. When I was a natural competitor, which I was for years, I competed in the ANBC, ABCC, drug tested shows, the NPC, before I went over to the dark side. And I found I lost a lot of muscle when I would diet because I tried to do it too fast. I would do like these 6 to 8 week preps. I didn't have a coach. I didn't have any. There was no internet back then. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. And I was doing like 2 hours of cardio a day. I was burning up all my muscle. So gradually try to keep the cardio. I wouldn't do more than 30, 40 minutes of cardio a day. And I wouldn't cut the calories too much lower than what you need to. So if you're BMR, you need 2,000 calories a day to maintain your current weight, I would just start off by like taking 100 calories off, see where that takes you for a couple weeks, then go up like another 100 calories. Instead of people go drastic, if they're eating like 4,000 calories, they'll drop it down to 2,000 like that and start doing cardio. Of course, you're going to lose muscle if you don't have the anabolics to preserve the muscle mass. Let's see. Must be going. Can you remind everyone to tune into MD Power Hour? Yeah. So I did that at the beginning, but I want to say it tomorrow, which is Tuesday, April 18th, 2023, I already said the year, 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're going to be going Power Hour live, myself and Giles Tiger Thomas and Jen, and we're going to review the Arnold Classic Brazil, or Arnold Classic South America, which I was not there. So Giles is going to give me the whole rundown because I haven't only seen a couple things on the MD Instagram and a few other Instagram pages. I haven't seen the coverage myself. Oh, is Miguel going to be there too? Great. Yeah, that's right. So Miguel Chain from Brazil is going to join us. Thank you, Miguel, for helping out again. Miguel does a show every week, if you didn't know. Usually comes out on Thursdays, called Brazilian Beat. Covers the whole scene in Brazil, bodybuilding, fitness, figure, wellness, all that stuff. Keeps you updated on the top champs like Ramondino, Rafael Brandao, William Martins, Eduardo Correa, Vitor Boff, all the great Brazilian pros and top amateurs. He gives you the scoop on who's doing what, who to watch out for. Yeah, it's going to be a party. Justin Bass, you think Ramy can win again? Yeah, why not? Why not? I've seen people come back from worse situations. Like I said, I don't write anybody off. And Ramy's got a solid work ethic. He's determined. He wants to make his fans proud. He wants to make his family proud, his sponsors. He's got his own personal pride. He wants his title back. He's going to work for it. Will he get it? We don't know. But I'm not saying it's impossible. It could happen. Keep an eye on Wellington Nasco, runner-up from Brazil. Yeah, so he turned pro the day before at, was it like the amateur Olympia they had with that? A pro qualifier. He just turned pro the day before and he goes and almost wins the show. If it hadn't been for Baruz Tabani, he would have won. So yeah, Wellington NASCAR. I never heard of this guy before. I'm sure Miguel has. Miguel's probably known about him for years. Miguel knows all. He keeps track of all the top amateurs in Brazil. It's like Giles. Giles Thomas. He's been keeping track of all the best amateurs in Europe for years. Oh, that was another one competitor. Oh, that was somebody else. I'm sorry. So Wellington wasn't the guy that just turned pro the day before. My bad. Yeah, this is why I got to rely on Miguel tomorrow and Giles to fill me in because I don't know what the hell I'm talking about. I didn't even watch the show. Yeah, I was 15 hours ahead of East Coast time, which is crazy. Yeah, I always know what time it is in Brisbane, Australia, Queensland, because my son's there. So, like right now, it's 5:37 a.m. It's 2:37 p.m. on Monday here. It's 5:37 a.m. right now where I've been for the past 2 weeks. So my body clock is a little bit messed up. And it'll get back to normal very quickly, I'm sure. But yeah, I was able to sleep. I only woke up a couple times, but it's a little took a couple days for my body to get on that schedule. And now it's going to take a couple days to get back, but it'll be fine. Anyway, yeah. So yeah, what do we got there? Jen Gustavo Bico was the amateur turned pro day before, competed the pro show, got sixth place. Wow, Gustavo Bico, another one. Yeah, thanks, Jen. Yeah, that's it's amazing feat for somebody to go from amateur to pro and immediately do well. I've seen people. It's happened in, I don't know if it's happened in open, but I've seen it like in classic. I remember one of the Toronto pros, or I think it was a Toronto pro, one of the Canadian shows where the guy who had just turned pro the day before in classic in the pro qualifier, he won the classic in the pro division the next day. So it's been done. And I think I've seen it in a couple of women's divisions too, where someone turned pro in figure or physique or something and went right to it. Justin Bass, when we are doing shrugs, do we do it in a lightweight controlled manner or heavyweight and jerking up? So you want to be careful not to jerk because you are involving the neck. You're not really training the neck directly, but it's there. So if you're using heavyweight and jerking it like that, you could very easily injure your neck. And any of you guys who have had a neck injury, you know it sucks. You can't even turn around to park your car correctly. You don't want to hurt your neck. So you can come up fast, but control it on the way down and get a full stretch and come up all the way. I'd rather, I like dumbbells better than barbells. I don't really train traps anymore. But the hammer shrug machine, dumbbells, I come up fast and come down with a little more control. You could come up slow too, but you don't want to just do this because there's no tension. It's such a short range of motion, shrugs. Look at it, that's barely, what's that, like a 3-4 inch range of motion? So you don't want to go fast because you don't have any tension on the muscle doing it that way. You want to at least keep it under tension a little while, but don't jerk it up. No, you don't want to hurt your neck, guys. Neck injuries are the worst. Well, lower back injuries are pretty shitty too. They're all bad. You don't want to have any injuries at all, period. Jen, Shuming Yan competed as an amateur Romanian, then competed in Romania Pro Show in 2022. Shuming, yeah, we had Shuming on Levroni Report because he's a Levroni supplements or Levroni nutrition athlete out of China. Amazing. I think he ended up placing 6th, but he went open even though he was like 220, but he could have easily dropped down a few pounds and won the 212. I think he should go 212 because he could have been in better condition. I think at 212 he's going to be deadly. He's going to be competing this year at some point a little later on. Shu Ming Yan, yeah, cool dude. We had him interview with a translator. I'm hoping to get an interview with Beirut with a translator. Kevin was smart to get him for Levroni supplements. Yeah, Kevin's got a pretty good eye for talent, and especially because I think China's a big market for him. You know, Kevin's a businessman. You know, we had Kevin on the last Levroni report that I did with him. You know, he told me that the company was on Forbes, one of Forbes' fastest growing companies, and someone doubted him. They said, yeah, you know, I looked it up, it's not there. And the name of the corporation isn't Levroni Supplements, it's something else. And Kevin showed it to me. It's fully legit. Kevin wouldn't lie about that. His company's doing very well. He's been working many, many years to make that happen. Traveling the world. He spends a good chunk of the year, like all over Europe, Asia, Middle East, promoting his brand, making all kinds of appearances. He's not just sitting there waiting for people to buy his stuff and hoping and praying. He goes out there and hustles. Yeah. So yeah, props to Kevin and congrats to Kevin. He basically laid the foundation, as he said in many interviews, for his company's success by traveling the world for years and years when he was a competitor. Did all those Grand Prix tours and all kinds of promotional tours around the world. You know, he made a lot of fans in places like Europe, Asia, Middle East. He's really big in Europe. And you know, those people remembered him, and he said he'll go to an appearance at a supplement store or something. A guy will come up, say, you know, I remember I met you when I was like 18 years old. You came here to compete, or you did an appearance, and you took the time to talk to me, take a picture with me, and you know, it really meant a lot. And I'd like to buy your stuff. So, you know, it's all personal connections and loyalty. Yeah. Anyway, so my dog has been gone. I just picked him up today. He was away for 2 weeks. He was boarded. I missed the hell out of him. He hasn't had a walk around my neighborhood in 2 weeks. I want to take him on one now. He's itching. He's itching to get out of the house. So appreciate you guys all watching, and tune in tomorrow, please. 2 p.m. Eastern. We're gonna go live. Yeah, he did jump all over me. I gotta post that video later on my Instagram. We're going live tomorrow, 2 p.m. for MD Power Hour. Giles Tiger Thomas, Miguel Chain are going to fill me in on the Arnold Brazil that I missed, with, of course, Jen there moderating, keeping it all going behind the scenes as she always does. Thank you so much, Jen. You made my vacation possible. I couldn't have gone away without you holding down the fort in the spectacular fashion that you always do. Consummate professional. Appreciate it. So that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching. This has been another Ask Ron. We'll do another one of these days, but make sure you are subscribed to the channel and you turn on your notifications so you get all the content notifications. We have all kinds of great stuff here you can check out. So please do that. And that's it. Talk to you guys later. Peace.